Hello there, everybody. What are you doing here? Run! I'm Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter. This is my intern, Wizzy Puff.
Wow, he actually did it. He actually said intern.
This is Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour, where I take my good intern here through the magical world of My Little Pony fanfiction, because I am tired of his crap. On today's episode, we will be taking a look at the fanfiction Fluttershy's Extremely Odd Jobs by Mithril Moth. Now, if you didn't know, you should go down into the description and read this fanfiction for yourself, because we're going to be talking over it and stuff like that.
I'm going to be talking over us.
Thanks, man. Thanks. But if you're fine with us chattering, you could at least go down in the description and give it a like. Is that it? Is that all the things I need to say in the opening?
I think so.
That was a pretty quick opening compared to our last couple. Wizzy, should I pad it out more?
I think that's what you're doing right now.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't want that.
I'm
stalling? Stalling. All right. So, yep. You may proceed.
Fluttershy's Extremely Odd Jobs by Mithril Moth, which is a very good name. I love that name.
It's a cool
Chapter
name.
1. What does she even do? Thank you, dearie. Come again. Mrs. Cake swept 4 bits into the register as she waved at the departing back of a buttery yellow Pegasus, whose long pink tail dragged behind her as she trotted lightly out the door to Sugar Cube Corner. Mr. Cake tilted his head.
Honey? Wasn't the cake she just bought 7 bits?
Well, yes, Mrs. Cake said. But I always undercharge Fluttershy. The poor dear gets such a raw deal from a lot of the sellers in the town market. And, well, she doesn't have a job. Mr. Cake frowned.
She doesn't?
Not that I know of.
Didn't expect Mrs. Cake to sound like Peter Lorre.
I don't know who that is.
I think that was the Peter Lorre voice. I could be wrong.
I'm mainly thinking of like a Ren from Ren and Stimpy Igor type voice.
It's actually pronounced Igor.
Not if you watch the movie Igor. It's free on YouTube. That's how good it is.
Oh, wow. I was actually referencing Young Frankenstein. A fun fact about the Igor character: he's a really weird character.
I would assume as much.
He wasn't in the Frankenstein novel.
Oh.
In the first movie, there was a hunchback assistant, but his name was Fritz or something like that.
Yeah.
In Son of Frankenstein, there was an Igor character. Or was it? It was Son of Frankenstein or Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. Maybe both of them. There was an Igor character, but the name was spelled with a Y. So
that's not how you spell the name.
I mean, it was back in the day when they came up with the character, so I don't know, but like he was a very, very different character from the Igor we know today. He was actually like cunning and stuff like that. Like Fritz or whatever his name was the better inspiration for him.
Mr. Cake frowned.
She doesn't?
Not that I know of, Mrs. Cake said. At that moment, Pinkie Pie trotted in from the kitchen.
The twins are fed, and the triple chocolate white chocolate chip walnut brownies are in the oven,
Pinkie Pie announced. Those sound delicious. I really want them now.
What is that? Were you always doing that? What the fuck?
What?
Is that just your voice?
I've been doing this voice for reading for the entire chapter so far. I think.
I didn't realize that. I'll be honest.
I might have put more emphasis on it as I kept going.
Thanks, Pinkie.
Mr. Cake said. Pinkie, Mrs. Cake began. What does Fluttershy do for a living?
Huh? Fluttershy?
Pinkie tilted her head.
I guess she takes care of animals? Yes, but she takes care of wild animals.
Mr. Cake said.
That's not really a job. I mean, she doesn't get paid to do that, right?
Pinkie paused.
Huh. Now that you mention it.
She scratched her chin with a hoof.
Can you give me a second?
She shot upstairs in a pink blur. The Cakes distantly heard the whir thunk of Pinkie descending into her secret party cave. Is that canon?
Yep.
Yes! 5 minutes later, they heard a shocked gasp echoing through the ductwork. 30 seconds after that, Pinkie popped out of the register, eyes wide and haunted.
I thought it was Pinkie Pie, not Pinkie Pop.
Eee! What a zinger.
I have no idea what Fluttershy does for a living.
Is that voice consistent?
I kind of remember what I did, but I can't quite remember what I did to begin with. So, yeah.
She said quietly.
Huh. Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
Mr. Cake said.
We were just curious. No.
Pinkie whimpered, clutching her head with her hooves.
You don't understand. This is a huge deal. How could I not know what one of my best friends does for money?
She started to pace, drawing the attention of various customers.
I work at Sugar Cube Corner for room and board, and enough pay for the stuff I need. Plus, I get paid for the parties I plan, even though I only charge enough to cover the party supplies. Rarity has her boutiques here in Ponyville and Canterlot, plus she sells off any gems she finds that are just too valuable to use for dresses. Rainbow Dash gets paid for her Weather Patrol duties, and now she got a stipend. A stipend? From the Wonderbolts for reserve duty, even though half her paycheck is going to paying off the damage she did to the weather factory during the whole tank fiasco. Applejack has Sweet Apple Acres. Twilight Sparkle used to live off research stipends from Canterlot, but now, well, she's a princess and she doesn't have to pay for anything. And Spike's still getting an allowance from both Celestia and Twilight's parents.
She paused, then looked up at the ceiling.
But Fluttershy, I don't have anything in my notes about how she earns her bits.
She sank to her hind knees, throwing her front hooves up to the sky and flailing them around.
This is a disaster.
The Cakes looked at each other. Mrs. Cake cleared her throat. Why don't you just ask her? Pinkie stopped flailing around and gasped.
Gasp? I should ask her.
But it was too late. She was dead.
Oh, dear.
She shot to the door in a blur. The door hadn't even closed behind her when her head shot back in.
Take the brownies out in 18 minutes.
And then she was gone. Pinkie Pie found Fluttershy sitting in the warm sun outside her cottage. A coffee cake and several teacups laid out on a blanket. Bunnies, chipmunks, butterflies, birds, and a bear all sat around her, waiting as she daintily poured tea.
Fluttershy!
The birds and butterflies took off. 2 bunnies scampered into a bush. A chipmunk went up a tree, and Fluttershy squeaked in fright. She calmed down quickly when she realized who had shrieked her name. "Oh, hello, Pinkie Pie."
Sounds
she
so
said.
Similar to the other voice.
No, this one's supposed to be more like, Fran Drescher, I guess.
And yet they still sound so similar.
"You startled me." Her eyebrows drooped together, disapprovingly. "And you startled my animal friends."
Sorry.
Pinkie gasped, plopping down on her rear.
I just really need to ask you something really, really important.
Oh, goodness. Wait, hold on. Oh, goodness. All right. What is it you wanted to ask? Pinkie took a deep breath.
What do you do for a living?
Fluttershy blinked. Huh?
Your job. How you make your bits. What do you do? Because I don't know. And if I don't know, that means no pony knows. But your friends should know something like that about you. And if we don't know how you make money to provide for yourself and all your furry friends, well, that's just terrible.
Pinkie started hyperventilating. Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, well then.
Fluttershy frowned mildly, more a puzzled frown than an upset frown.
So, what do you do?
Pinkie asked between heaving breaths. Oh, well, Fluttershy brushed one hoof with the other delicately. I actually mostly do odd jobs. Just whatever ponies need done.
Oh, like what?
Fluttershy coughed. Speaking of jobs, shouldn't you be at work? I'm pretty sure you're not on a break.
Eep.
Pinkie shot into the air, scrambling ineffectually with all 4 legs.
Gotta go. We'll talk about this later. Bye.
As she darted off into Ponyville, Fluttershy exhaled sharply. That was unexpected. Angel chittered at her. So is Angel one of her chipmunks?
Angel is her bunny.
Ah. I'm not hiding anything from my friends, really. I don't want them to think I'm, Oh, she's a sex worker. Now, wouldn't that be a twist?
That quite would be.
Angel groaned, face-pawed, and pointed at the cake. All right, sorry.
She said she does odd jobs.
Pinkie says.
Does that mean her jobs are so odd she doesn't want to talk about them? Or does it mean she has an odd number of jobs? What does it mean, Twilight? What could it possibly mean?
Princess
Fucking
Twilight...
hell, Twilight, answer me.
Princess Twilight Sparkle rolled her eyes and marked her place in her book.
It just means she does things that ponies need done, that they only need done every so often, or things that only need to be done once.
She explained.
It means she doesn't have a steady job and just does whatever she needs to do to make ends meet.
She frowned.
I can't believe it never occurred to me to wonder what Fluttershy does for a living, though.
She sighed.
It seems like every so often I'm getting a reminder of how much I still have to learn about friendship. That is such a Twilight Sparkle thing to say.
It seems like every time you do a, well, not every time, but a lot of the times when you do a Twilight voice, you're just imitating Twilight's voice.
Well, a lot of the times when we do like side characters and stuff like that, to keep it in my head of what I'm supposed to do, I just do their voices. Now sometimes I don't do that, of course, but that's something that I do actually often. So
okay.
And sometimes I do that for the main character I read as well, but sometimes I don't.
Rainbow Dash scoffed from where she lay on a pillow across the room, reading the newest Daring Do book. If Fluttershy wanted us to know what she does, she'd tell us. It's not like any of our business.
Of course, it's our business,
Pinky said.
She's our friend, Rainbow Dash. I know everything, and I mean everything, about all of my friends all across Equestria. Or, I thought I did.
Pinky's hair and ears drooped.
I can't believe I didn't know something as simple as this about Fluttershy.
Rainbow sighed. Look, Pinky, Fluttershy's a hard pony to figure out sometimes. I've known her since Cloudsdale, and believe me, getting her to talk about anything but animals is like getting Derpy to not screw something up when she helps with the Weather Patrol. Derpy's on the Weather Patrol?
I suppose so.
Yes! She tilted her head. You know, she said slowly. Maybe that's why Fluttershy doesn't want any pony to know she does odd jobs. It's because Derpy's an odd jobber, and you know what her reputation around town is like. Poor Derpy.
I thought Derpy worked for the Ponyville post office.
Twilight said. Okay, only part-time. Rainbow replied with a shrug. How do I sound out a shrug? That's a good one. Usually just when they're short-hooved. She's had and been fired from just about every part-time job in town.
That's kind of sad,
Twilight said. It never really seems to bother her.
Focus. Ponies.
Pinky snapped.
We need to focus on Fluttershy here. Pinky,
Twilight said patiently.
You already have your answer. She does odd jobs. That's not the most ideal way to get by, but if it works for her, then what does it matter? It matters because I can't not know.
Pinky shot to her hooves.
I'm going to find out what kind of jobs Fluttershy does, and maybe even what kind of even jobs she does.
Number jokes. She produced a pith helmet from nowhere and snatched up a notepad and pencil from Twilight's desk.
I got this from learning you. My study begins now. Wish me luck.
As she galloped out of the room, Rainbow raised an eyebrow. Shouldn't you stab her? Twilight chewed on the inside of her cheek.
You know, my cheek actually does taste pretty good.
She said, eating herself. It was not long before she had consumed her entire body.
It's one of those, Fix.
She
I'm
shook
kidding.
her head.
She just said in case anyone was unclear about that. No, I made a fool of myself over her pinky sense. I think I'll let her make a fool of herself over this, and call it even.
Rainbow's eyes narrowed to pinpricks. Seriously? Twilight smirked and went back to reading.
Pinkie Pie's Observational Journal, Day 1, Entry 1. I've just observed the delivery of a wired cage to Subject Fluttershy's cottage by Applejack. She's taking it around. Back. I'm in pursuit.
Stealthily, Pinkie crept through the trees, disturbing numerous small rodents and birds as she followed Fluttershy in the package. Fluttershy was humming and clucking gently as she set the wire cage down in a small paddock surrounded by chicken wire. It was the one part of Fluttershy's yard that was devoid of animals. Fluttershy flew back to the side where she kept her chickens and nosed into the coop. Here, Eliza Beak. Here, Rebecca. She clucked a few times, then drew her head out. 3 hens fluttered out, lining up in front of her. She tilted her head. Henrietta, I didn't call you. Henrietta preened herself and clucked, holding her head up high. Fluttershy giggled. Okay, you silly hen, you can come too. She clucked and smacked her flank, and the hens followed her around back. Pinkie watched. Once the hens were inside the paddock, Fluttershy closed and locked it, then opened the cage. Come on out, Roy. There's a good boy. Your little girlfriends are here. A rooster strutted out of the cage, crowing and puffing himself up. Fluttershy giggled. You kids have fun now. I'll be back a little later.
I'll be back.
My mouth just melted in the middle of talking.
Started eating your own tongue.
No, I'm becoming Twilight Sparkle when I wanted to become
Applejack. You don't want to become Twilight Sparkle.
With that, she flew away, gathering a bag of assorted nuts on her way up into the trees.
Assorted beans.
What?
I don't know what I just said.
Pinkie frowned and tilted her head, scrunching her muzzle up.
Now what in the...
She trailed off as she watched the hens and the rooster for a few minutes. Her eyes grew progressively wider. A few minutes later, she staggered through a line of bushes into a clearing on the east side of Fluttershy's property.
Fluttershy's odd job number 1 uncovered. Chicken dating service. Continuing observation.
Oh, I wish that was her job.
Pinkie Pie's Observational Journal, Day 1, Entry 2. After spending all day watching Subject Fluttershy look after her animals, I followed her to the Ponyville Retirement Village.
Pinkie Pie tailed Fluttershy into the community activity center of the retirement village. As soon as she entered, Fluttershy glanced nervously around, then ducked into a vacant room. All around Pinkie Pie, creaky old ponies shuffled around in carpet slippers and bathrobes and pajamas. One who looked alarmingly like her dear departed Granny Pie snuck up behind her.
Would you care for molasses biscuit, dearie?
Oh my God, that voice. That voice. She croaked. Pinkie blinked at the biscuit. It was a congealed lump of the poor old pony's medicine.
No, God, no. No, thanks. I'm good.
A nurse came storming through the halls, clapping her hooves together.
All right, every pony,
she said cheerfully.
Today's show is about to start. If you would all please head for the community room. Oh, hello there, Miss Pinky. Are you visiting some pony?
Huh? Oh, I'm just looking around.
Pinky said.
You know, seeing if this is a good place to bring my mom and dad when they retire.
The nurse tilted her head curiously.
Well, all right. We're about to have our silent movie matinee. You're welcome to stay and watch.
Well...
Just then, Pinky saw Fluttershy emerge from the room she ducked into, dressed in a tuxedo and top hat with all the accessories. Pinky stared. Then she remembered she was conducting secret surveillance and ducked behind the nurse.
Wizzy, I'm tired. Why did you have to make me stay up this late for this?
You could have gone to bed any time. That
garbage.
was your choice to stay up. Oh my God. Don't listen to him, Mithril Moth. This is a good story so far.
No, this is a very good story. The garbage was Wizzy.
And I suddenly just stopped recording. Canceled the podcast. It's over, everybody. I can't put up with Ross's crap anymore.
But Wizzy, what about this next line? Actually, I think you should, Wizzy, please stay, and I think you should read this next line.
That's your line to read.
I know, but I just want you to read it. How do you think I should read it?
Sure, fine, I'll stay.
Fantastic. Continuing the podcast. Sure, fine, I'll stay.
She whispered. Fluttershy trotted past the nurse, not noticing Pinkie Pie. Is every pony ready? She asked.
Just about. Thank you for coming down. A regular pianist has the pony pox.
Oh, it's no problem, Fluttershy said brightly. For the next hour and a half, Pinkie Pie watched from a stealthy, hidden position as a crowd of old ponies watched some really old silent movies behind the screen. Fluttershy sat at a piano, merrily playing the music that accompanied the films and entertaining the elderly residents while the projectionist changed reels. After the last movie ended, the projectionist wheeled away his projector, and the nurse brought in a gramophone.
And now for a special treat,
she said as she placed a record on the turntable.
Our special guest piano pony has a surprise for you.
Fluttershy stood and took a bow. As the music began, she did a jaunty tap dance routine. To the delight of the old ponies, when she was done, she received a round of applause, for which she took a bow and gave a bright smile. She then waved goodbye and left the building. Pinkie scraped her jaw off the floor. Ew.
Fluttershy's odd job number 2 uncovered. Secret surprise show pony. Continuing observation. Hey, you want my Jello sweet shakes?
Pinkie stared at the mangled Jello cup a wrinkly, shriveled prune of a stallion was offering her. His dentures were floating in it. She shuddered.
Nothing's good.
She escaped out the nearest window.
Pinkie Pie's observational journal, day 2. Entry 3.
Pinkie Pie watched as Fluttershy, wearing saddlebags and a hoof-woven saddle blanket, bought a ticket and boarded a train. She quickly dashed up to the counter, bought a ticket for the same train, and stealthily boarded the car behind Fluttershy's.
Subject Fluttershy boarded a morning train to Baltimore. I'm on board and following her.
When the train pulled into the station, Pinky followed Fluttershy at a discreet distance. Fluttershy was looking left and right as she walked through the crowded city streets. As they continued walking, Pinky couldn't help but notice that the ponies around them were wearing progressively stranger outfits. It almost looked like the ponies here thought it was Nightmare Night, but some of the stuff they were wearing was just weird. Finally, Fluttershy walked through the doors of a large building with a sign that said, Baltimore Convention Center. Huge
I've been
banners
there.
draped on the building's walls proclaimed. Oh, it's
I've been to the
BronyCon.
Baltimore Convention Center.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, that's where BronyCon was.
Oh, so I was right when I said you went to BronyCon.
Yeah.
Naponicon Equestria's largest anime and manga convention. Today through Sunday. Pinky scratched her head.
Huh?
Shrugging, she followed Fluttershy through the door. Ponies in black and orange vests with big laminated name tags stopped her and directed her into a long line. She ended up waiting in line for over an hour before coming to a table where a pony demanded 50 bits for a laminated badge and a couple of pamphlets. Duh.
Wow, this investigation is really hurting my wallet.
Pinky muttered as she hoofed over the bits and accepted her badge and pamphlets. Shaking her head, she moved through the crowd, searching for Fluttershy. She finally saw a familiar long pink tail disappear through a doorway. She took up a position nearby and waited. Several minutes later, Fluttershy came back out, wearing a pleated blue skirt, a white blouse with a blue collar flap and a yellow neckerchief, and a green wool sweater. Oh my God, they shave sheep.
Yep.
Her mane and tail were braided, and she had on huge round glasses that magnified her eyes. For some reason, she was also wearing a headband with big white cat ears on top. Catgirl Fluttershy, oh my God!
Oh my god.
Pinky gawked.
Oh my god. What the?
Fluttershy wove expertly through the crowd, her saddlebags bouncing against her flanks. Pinky followed her, constantly bumping into costumed ponies. At long last, Fluttershy went through a door into a room full of tables loaded down with books, posters, records, toys, and all sorts of other things. Fluttershy talked to a pony in a black and orange vest. Then she was escorted to an empty table. She opened up her saddlebags and withdrew a stack of comics, a sketchpad, and drawing implements, which she laid out before her. Finally, she placed a large placard at the front of the table which said, Terame Nakoshai Dujin Arts.
Isn't it
Pinky
Dojin?
tilted her head, brow furrowed. So, Fluttershy's weeaboo?
Yes.
I can get behind this.
How could you not have known?
Because apparently Pinky didn't either. And Pinky knows everything.
Wow, you actually got me on there. Welp. Okay. I have no idea what's going on here.
She crept around to a place where she could observe Fluttershy without being seen, then waited. She didn't have to wait long. Ponies began trotting up to the table. Some brought the books Fluttershy had brought with her, while others seemed to be making requests. Fluttershy started drawing things for the ponies lining up at her table. The ponies seemed to be excited as they paid her. Her saddlebags were rapidly filling with bits as her pile of comics dwindled and she drew more and more sketches. After almost an hour of this, Pinky slipped away from her hiding spot and intercepted one of the happy customers who had just purchased a comic.
Excuse me.
She said,
Could I just take a quick look at that? I'll give it right back. I just want to see. Huh? Oh, sure, I guess.
The pony hoofed over the comic a bit nervously.
You, new around here? You could say that.
Pinky opened the comic and looked through it. She blinked, tilting her head. It looked to be some sort of comic about a couple of stallions who went to a high school together. After 10 pages, she closed it and hoofed it back over. She pointed a shaky hoof at Fluttershy.
She draws this? Well, I can't remember what I did for this pony.
You did a low, gravelly voice.
No, thank you. Yeah.
The pony said,
Tarame Nekoshai. Tarame Nekoshai is the best doujinshi artist in Equestria.
He pranced lightly away, headed for another table of merchandise. Pinky took one last glance at Fluttershy, who was still drawing, shook her head, and left the convention center.
Fluttershy's odd job number 3, uncovered. She draws really weird comics about teenage stallions, kissing and stuff. Continuing investigation after I eat enough cake to go into a food coma and forget the last hour of my life. Did you really just a hentai?
Fluttershy is a weeaboo cat girl who draws yaoi hentai. This is canon now.
I mean, it's always been canon, yeah, but like... I like to think about the hentai bit.
Is it really hentai or just romance?
I'm guessing it's hentai because she said, and stuff.
Yeah, whatever. I feel like that's fine. Fluttershy can do what she wants. It's her
Of course. But I also don't want to
choice.
hear about it. Pinkie Pie's ups. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something else?
No, go on.
All right, fine. I guess you weren't going to say something else. You were just interrupting me for no reason.
Important, okay?
Pinkie Pie's Observational Journal, Day 5, Entry 4. Subject Fluttershy returned to Ponyville yesterday. I was forced to stay in Baltimore an extra day, working a temp job at a diner to earn train fare back to Ponyville after I blew all my money on stuff I don't even understand at that convention. Same.
Oh,
That's a lie, not same. Upon returning to Ponyville, I learned that the subject had gone to Cloudsdale for the afternoon. I borrowed the twinkling balloon and am in pursuit. So, question. How much talking does it have to be before you just give up on one paragraph and then go to another one? With a single person in quotes.
I think it's like the separate pages of our journal that sort of represents. I don't know what the rules are grammatically.
But like in English, that is, I don't want to say in English that, but like I've seen that done in other like fan fictions and stuff like that. So that's where the question comes in.
I don't know what the rule is in punctuation for that.
Yeah,
Ask
sadly, as good as I am at like grammar and stuff like that, not so great at a whole lot of other stuff involved with writing, but...
All right, Mithril Moth, if you're watching, you need to teach us your ways. When do you add the break there?
Or, if you're listening.
You just love to correct me like that.
I love to correct pizza in my mouth, and I want pizza right now.
Oh my god, now you made me want pizza.
Ha!
All right, I'm coming over to you and bringing pizza.
God, please, dude.
As soon as Pinkie Pie arrived in Cloudsdale, she caught the scent of a party in the air. Tying several floaty balloons to herself, she navigated the cloudy lanes of Cloudsdale. landing on the solid street surfaces whenever she could. Before long, she happened upon a big festival in the center of town. Several wonderbolts were wandering around. A vendor was selling pies and treats, and a general air of jubilation filled the sky. She flagged down a passing Pegasus.
"What's going on?"
she asked. The stallion she stopped rolled his eyes.
"It's the Cloudsdale Fair, of course,"
he said.
"Where have you been? On the ground?"
Oh! Take that, you earth pony.
Yeah. I'm an earth pony.
The stallion blinked at her.
Oh!
He tilted his head.
Then what are you doing up here?
Shaking his head and snorting, he flew off. Pinky blew on her forelock.
Rude.
What the heck is a forelock?
I actually think we've looked this up before.
Have we? The only thing I'm thinking of is a flintlock.
A lock of hair growing above the forehead.
Oh.
The part of the mane of a horse or similar animal which grows from the poll and hangs down over the forehead.
Yeah, I should guess that from the word. She made her way through the festival, taking in everything around her. There were gaming booths, more food stands, music playing, and Pegasi racing overhead.
Oh, it was fetlock that we looked up before.
What is
Sorry.
that?
Well, a fetlock is the joint of a horse's or other quadruped's leg between the cannon bone and the pastern, obviously.
She thought she caught a flash of a rainbow overhead. For a moment, but soon it was gone. As she wandered through the festival, she caught sight of Fluttershy, seated behind a long cloud table alongside several other Pegasi, most of which were large stallions. The table was covered in bowls and jars of liquid rainbow. A crowd gathered around the table, cheering and making bets. An older... Oh. Man, My Little Pony is messing up my mind.
So kind of making bets if you want to really think about it like that.
Yeah. An older Pegasus stallion in a large stovepipe hat covered over the crowd and held up a megaphone.
Fillies and gentlecourts, welcome to the 12th annual Rainbow Guzzling Contest.
Hell yeah!
You all know the rules. Contestants, you may begin now.
The ponies at the table started picking up balls of rainbow and guzzling them down. Ugh! Ugh! What is it made of?
Well, it's edible, but they're really spicy.
Oh. Why? What is it made of?
Oh, you know what? When you asked what is it made of, I should have answered foals. Foals who get ground up.
The Rainbow Factory.
That's, yeah. In the Rainbow Factory, fears and horrors come true.
Pinky cringed. Sweat streamed from the brows of the Pegasi as ball after ball of rainbow disappeared. After 2 balls of pure rainbow, 2 large, sturdy stallions flew away screaming, their faces turning different colors as smoke poured out of their noses. Oh my God! That sounds like a cartoon.
Weird.
Not a retelling of a true event like this is.
Yeah. I know, right? Just wild how history happens, man. The truth is stranger than fiction.
A mare quit after her 3rd bowl. The crowd's cheering and laughing increased in volume. One by one, the Pegasi dropped out as more and more rainbow was consumed. Incredibly, Fluttershy was staying strong. She didn't seem affected by the spicy heat of the rainbow at all.
She cheating.
Finally, it came down to Fluttershy and one large, muscular stallion with a mohawk and intense dark eyes. He stared Fluttershy down as he grabbed a jar of rainbow and popped off the lid. Fluttershy met his gaze, then picked up an even larger jar and daintily unscrewed the lid.
Remember, they're eating, or they're drinking, or whatever, fulls. Ground up fulls.
Rainbow Factory's
everyone just remember that, okay? Okay.
Fluttershy's not so innocent after all. Ugh. The crowd fell into an expectant hush. Pinkie watched, fascinated. At some unspoken signal, the two Pegasi chugged. The stallion's eyes bugged out.
Chug, 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 chug.
He screamed as steam blew out of his ears. With an impressively loud, flaming fart, he went shooting off into the sky, traveling rainbow-colored smoke behind him. The crowd roared with cheers and laughter.
Laughter.
The winner for the third year in a row, Fluttershy.
Fluttershy. Fluttershy.
You know, you really sound like a bunch of people.
Fluttershy. Please continue. Fluttershy. Fluttershy.
Two mares flittered over to Fluttershy. She was given a sash, a trophy, and a large jug of milk. She quickly drank the milk, then waved meekly to the crowd as the sash was lowered over her. The Pegasus with the megaphone flew over, carrying a glass box containing 6 large, sparkling gems in different hues of the rainbow. Fluttershy graciously accepted it, hoisting it above her head and posing for pictures. All around Pinkie, ponies were passing bits back and forth after several seconds of posing. Fluttershy put the trophy and the jewels in her saddlebag, then flew off into the clouds.
Fluttershy's odd job number 4 uncovered. Rainbow Taster. Continuing investigation. Fluttershy. Fluttershy. Fluttershy.
Ross, they're gone.
I know. I'm just very happy for her. 3 years in a row, that's not an easy feat.
Pinkie's balloon started to pop. She yelped and frantically scrambled back to where she docked the twinkling balloon.
Oh no, I'm about to fall to my death. Pinkie Pie's observational journal. Day 7, entry 5. Subject Fluttershy took an afternoon train to Philadelphia. I followed her. It's night now. And Fluttershy... Who's taking care of the animals?
Oh.
Fluttershy takes care of the animals, but who's taking care of them now that she's gone?
She got Discord, too.
Would she? Actually, I imagine she would. That actually might make a pretty good episode of the show.
Or pretty good fan fiction.
Write it. And Fluttershy is walking into what looks like some kind of arena in the seedier part of town.
Oh my god, what are you doing, Fluttershy?
Hey, lady, you gonna stand there all day talking to yourself, or you gonna buy a ticket?
A grumpy stallion seated behind a counter with a sign on the front that read, "Tickets 12 bits," glowered at Pinkie.
You're holding up the line. Whoopsie. Sorry.
Pinkie pulled on her springy forelock. 12 coins popped out of her mane, each with a loud ding sound, and stacked themselves in a neat pile on the counter. The stallion stared at them, slack-jawed, then numbly hoofed over a ticket. With a bright smile, Pinkie pronked off into the arena and found her seat. What the heck is pronking? She pronked off?
Pronk. Off a springboard or of a springbok or other antelope. Leap in the air with an arched back and stiff legs, typically as a form of display or when threatened.
Okay.
The Grizzbok were pronking over tall tufts of grass.
Okay. I guess I learn a new thing from this thing.
Yeah, but you
learned
didn't
multiple
want to.
new things. The arena was packed, noisy, and smelly. Concession vendors roamed the stands, selling nachos, popcorn, sodas, and pickles. Why pickles? Ew. Picky?
They're horses.
Yeah, so give them salt licks.
Clever.
Pinky bought a little of everything while she waited to find out what exactly was happening. Murmurs from the crowd were only so helpful. The one and only clue she had was a boxing ring in the center of the arena. The crowd noise muted slightly as a unicorn stallion in a gaudy gold jacket walked into the ring. His short, dark mane was combed back and held firm with liberal amounts of gel, and he wore sunglasses with cheap, gray plastic frames. His horn glowed pale pearl gray, and a microphone descended from above the ring. Fillies and Gentle Colts, this is EBW. The crowd roared with thunderous applause. Let's get right to our first match. You know him, you love him, but you wouldn't want to get in the ring with him. Give it up for Grizzly Adams. Harpsichord music, punctuated by snapping fingers, played from the PA system as a massive black bear in a pinstripe suit. As a massive black bear in a pinstripe suit with a tiny waxed mustache was wrangled into the ring, the ponies cheered wildly. And our challenger from Ponyville, the hulking horse, the roid rager himself, Bulk Biceps.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a very manly growl.
Well, it is Bulk Biceps.
Yeah. And he has steroids.
Definitely.
Bulk Biceps roared as he vaulted into the ring, shaking it upon landing. He flexed his massive muscles and bellowed a challenge to the bear, who roared at him in reply. Pinky watched in mild confusion and a degree of alarm as Bulk Biceps wrestled the black bear. After only a minute and a half of extreme pony-on-bear violence, Bulk Biceps ran screaming like a little filly. The audience jeered and threw popcorn boxes and soda cups at him as he fled the arena. For the next hour, various ponies from all walks of life, some wearing flamboyant costumes and introduced with colorful stage names, entered the ring, facing off against a variety of bears. Just bears. Almost all of which were in costume. The bears always won. And with each passing mauling, Pinky grew more and more uncomfortable amid the frenzied crowd.
This isn't fun.
The lighting shifted dramatically, and the crowd fell silent. The announcer pony returned to the ring. And now our main event, he said as quietly as the magical amplification of the sound system would allow. In this corner, we have the most infamous bloodthirsty monster in the history of extreme bear wrestling. The only bear in EBW who has ever killed a pony. I give you... He took a deep breath, then boomed. Pai Mei Ling! Hooves stomped the floor, shaking the arena as a massive cage was lowered into the ring. It opened, and a huge red panda with enormous bushy white eyebrows and a long silky white beard stomped out. A massive red panda. Those things are contradictory.
I love it.
Gnawing on a massive bamboo pole, its claws were long and lethal-looking, and there was a cold, deadly intensity to its eyes. And in this corner, the reigning champion of EBW. 4 pink spotlights trained on the ramp leading up to the ring, forming a vague butterfly shape. The Flying Marvel, the Pony of Mass Destruction, the Pegasus Powerhouse. A costume mare, A costumed mare strode up the ramp, flanked by stallions in tuxedos. Blue-green eyes blazed confidently from behind the sky-blue butterfly mask she wore. Her mane and tail were tightly braided and wrapped in white linen sheaths. "Please welcome Papillon Blue!" The crowd noise tripled. Oh man, we need to get 2 more people in here to help Ross.
I'll just do it myself, thank you.
Pinky watched in shock as the tiny little mare darted around the ring, effortlessly dodging every charge and swipe from the lethal panda. Her shock turned to wide-eyed, jaw-dropping awe as Papillon Blue administered a flying dropkick, a suplex, a pile driver, and a submission hold to a bear 5 times her size. After 3 of the most bizarre minutes of intense pony-on-bear violence Pinkie Pie had ever witnessed, the bell clanged repeatedly. Papillon Blue stood proudly atop a thoroughly defeated Pai Mei Ling, whose eyes were crossed and whose tongue lolled out comically. "And the winner, and still champion, Papillon Blue!"
Papillon.
The crowd cheered as Papillon Blue accepted a large gold belt and posed with it for a minute as camera flashes went off around the arena. She then slung the belt over her back and strode out of the arena. Pinkie's entire body started to shudder violently. Acting on a hunch, she slipped out of the crowd and followed Papillon Blue at a discreet distance. In the bowels of the arena, Papillon Blue walked into an office whose door said manager. Closing the door behind her, Pinkie pulled a cup out of her mane and leaned against the door, using it to listen.
Good show there tonight, kid.
You'll make sure that poor bear isn't hurt too badly, right?
Of course. We got the finest vets on call. You realize Ling's vet bills are coming out of your winnings, of course.
Of course.
And sedative medication, locker fees, belt fees.
Yes, I know.
Just making sure.
A long moment of silence.
All right, adding it all up, your take 740 bits. See you in 2 weeks.
Better make it 4. I've been taking too many out-of-town trips lately, and this will hold me for a while.
Suit yourself, kid.
Suddenly, Pinkie's left ear flopped, followed by her right eye fluttering, then her left knee twitching. She was too shell-shocked to process this, and therefore ended up getting smashed against the wall by the opening door as Papillon Blue, or rather Fluttershy,
That was Fluttershy!
Oh my god!
left with her jingling bag of bits.
Fluttershy's job number 5 uncovered. Professional bear wrestler. This concludes my observation. I don't think my pinky brain can take much more of this. Flop.
A weary, disheveled Pinkie trotted into the library in Twilight's castle. Twilight blinked.
Hey, Pinky. Haven't seen you in a while.
She tilted her head.
Are you okay?
Wow, Pinkie Pie, you look like crap. Rainbow Dash, who was reading comics with Spike, observed.
I've seen things.
Pinkie flumped to the floor.
Did you ever find out what Fluttershy's odd jobs are?
Twilight asked. Pinkie glared at her.
Don't even.
She said listlessly. She promptly fell asleep. When Pinkie Pie returned to Sugar Cube Corner just before dawn the following morning, the lights came on upstairs, and Mr. and Mrs. Cake descended into the shop. Neither of them looked very happy.
Pinkie Pie, we need to talk.
Mr. Cake said.
You've kind of blown off your job for the past week.
And she got another job as well.
Oh, boy.
End.
Yay!
Whew.
So that was Fluttershy's Extremely Odd Jobs by Mithril Moth. Wizzy, after this harrowing tale, what did you think about it?
I thought it was very good. It feels like the perfect amount of fan fiction mixed with like My Little Pony, done to a T.
Thank you.
I thought it was funny at the parts that it was trying to be funny, and I learned a lot of new words.
Yeah. You know what? New words really do help a lot of stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot myself. I think that this was a really fun one, and I'm happy that we read it.
Yeah. And I hope to read more from Mithril Moth in the future.
Unfortunately, the last time they were seen online was May 5th, 2019.
No, Mithril.
Well, that's a bummer. But I guess we really just don't have much to say aside from that. So,
did actually, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting the odd jobs that they wrote for her.
Me neither. I expected it to be a bit more not that, but it was that. So, can't really knock it because it was still good.
Yeah.
And good equals better than Wizzy. So,
I'm so done. I'm just done. I'm done. Ross is a mean fighting machine. But he's still mean.
I am. Anyways, everyone, that's it. Thank you all for listening. If you want to find us, you can go just you can find us on any podcast app that you got. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour, if you don't know. You can at me on Twitter, I guess. Tell us how much you love the show at Ross Pit Shark. Wait, is that still my Twitter handle? It should be, right? I didn't change it. Yeah, at Ross Pit Shark on Twitter. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching. I don't know if Wizzy has anything to say about him and his face.
Well, I have one thing to say.
Bye. Bye.
Recording.
I said that right as you finished recording. Or I snapped right as you finished recording. Ha. Take
Recording?
That was a bit later.
Recording.
You're gonna have to stop that, man.
Recording.
Wizzy.
Recording.